Happy Saturday, Nashville. 4's Company, 102.5, 106.3. The Game. Jake Lyman, Nick Frazier, Connor Newt, Jake Wallman with you for the next couple of hours, getting you ready for a full slate of college football today, NFL tomorrow, hockey tonight in Smashville. Lots to get to on the show. Should be a fun one. Let's start with our headlines today. Nick Frazier, why don't you lead us off?
Yeah, I'm going to another obscure sport. Obviously, Australian rugby is in the off season. I mentioned this to you guys before the show. 17-year-old phenom Luke Littler. He is the Scotty Scheffler of professional darts. This guy's unbelievable. He's unbelievable. I was listening to a few podcasts about him through Sky Sports, and they were just saying, I started playing during COVID, and I was like 13, 14 years old, hit my first 180. I was like, wow. And I will say the reason why I enjoy darts, one, I grew up kind of playing it from time to time just for a little party fun. But two, the fan atmosphere there is unbelievable. I think they're doing like a U.S. Masters in New York coming up, I think in May of 25. So might be planning a trip to New York because I would love to be a part of the atmosphere.
A lot to unpack there.
Nick Frazier is the one guy in the movie Dodgeball who's like, did you watch the game last night? And they're like, what games? Like, curling.
I think
it was an obscure Sports Monthly.
My favorite part about that was I was listening to a podcast.
I know. Yeah, I listened to a couple of podcasts about darts.
Not one, a couple.
A couple.
Yeah.
I love it.
There's a few.
I mean,
is it on ESPN 8 The Ocho?
No, unfortunately not. It's on like Pluto TV, I think.
Okay.
So pretty close.
Even better.
Pretty close. So at 10 a.m. today, he goes up for round 2, and it's either him or Luke Humphreys that's going to win this whole
thing. Are you going to give us play-by-play?
Yeah, we might have to make the whole 10 a.m. segment about darts at this point.
I mean, it's best of 11, so it's basically whoever gets to the 6 points first, they win. So
a best of 11 series.
Best of 11.
Wouldn't want it any other way for darts.
Yeah,
I think all sports should adopt that.
The best of 11.
I mean, it goes by super
series
quick.
Take 3 weeks to finish.
I mean, yesterday he 6-0'd Robert Cross. Like Rob Cross.
Oh my God.
That's crazy. I mean,
6-0.
That's crazy. Robert Cross. I totally know who that is.
Yeah. He's a bald-headed man who just
I know Robert
loves to
Frost.
Not that guy. No.
I was going to say, is that Robert Frost?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Does he give us poems before he goes out and
But I will say it's pretty crazy to see a 17-year-old kid just get his professional darts card and just go to professional events and just toss it right at the board.
Speaking of 17, did you know Ryan Williams is 17?
Yeah.
I don't think they've ever mentioned that on the broadcast before.
Wait, really?
Yeah.
The Alabama freshman receiver.
Yeah, that's crazy. I don't think they've ever mentioned that before.
Wow, I hadn't heard that before.
Haven't heard that from Chris Fowler and Kirk Herbstreit.
Breaking news from Connor Newt.
Crazy.
Jake Wallman, what is your headline this morning?
Good morning, gentlemen. It feels like I've not been in the studio in a long time with you guys.
That is true.
And for that, we are thankful.
It's been 2.5 or it's been a show and a half since the last time you were on with us.
So my headline, Tennessee played in the Baha Mar Invitational this week with Virginia and St. John's and Baylor. Some really good basketball, actually.
Chaz Lanier, baby.
I mean, he's starting to look more like Dalton Connect. He was the tournament MVP with, I believe, 25 points per game between the two. And all I've heard since basketball season started is just this Tennessee team's not going to be very good, mostly from Vol fans. We love to eat our own. And from what I saw this week, I mean, Tennessee seems to be pretty good. They held Virginia to their season average of like 42 points per game. And then last night, Chaz Lanier came out and hit his first 5 threes, and Tennessee rolled to a decisive victory. So my headline's the Vols and what the good Deacon Rick Barnes is doing in Knoxville right now.
Well, I appreciate the Vols taking out the Who's.
You know what's higher on the food chain than a deacon?
Tell me.
A pope.
That's good. Yeah, that's true.
And a Cardinal.
And who's the Cardinal?
The Louisville Cardinals.
But Tennessee beat Louisville earlier this year, so
same state.
That doesn't make sense.
The Pope is higher. That is true. But did the Cardinals?
You're not
it
wrong.
Goes both ways. Right?
It's like the NFL draft. Whenever you're trying to pick a pope, they put out the smoke. And
the white smoke.
Yep.
Let's have a talk about religious elections.
Let's not. My headline this morning, a friend of the show, Darren Ambrose, head coach of Vanderbilt soccer. He was on about a month ago. Vanderbilt soccer took down the defending national champions Florida State last night in the round of
Hey.
32 of the NCAA tournament.
Way to go, Dean Ambrose.
So they are into the Sweet 16. They will take on Penn State on Sunday. So a chance to go to it. Is the College Cup the Final 8? I believe that's right. I think that's right.
You're asking the wrong.
I think
buddy.
the Final 8 is the College Cup. So a chance to advance to the College Cup for the first time. Won it in PKs last night. It was kind of cool. We were over at Memorial. Vandy Woman played Samford last night. 104 points for Shea Ralph and
There you
company.
go, Shea.
Yes, the final 8.
Final 8 is the College Cup. And scored 38 in the fourth quarter. But just before that, they showed the last couple of PKs on the Jumbotron, and there was a pretty big cheer when the last save was made. And Vandy soccer advancing to the round of 16.
Vandy sports on the come up.
Big day for a big 24 hours for Vanderbilt sports. Men's basketball got 2 wins, beat Nevada and Seton Hall down in Charleston. They'll play Drake tomorrow for the Charleston Classic Championship. Obviously, the women's team beat Samford 104-59. And then soccer advances. Diego Pavia and Clark Lee. The onus is on you now.
Yeah.
Down there in
Can they make it
Baton
a big
Rouge.
48. Yeah.
You can listen in right here, 5 p.m. Pregame coverage starts down from Death Valley.
LSU's wearing some cool uniforms.
They
too.
are the yellow, the gold.
Yeah.
It's cool.
It's cool.
I have a bone to pick with him on that, by the way.
Uh-oh.
So teams normally, when they have a really good uniform release, they put out some nice video and there's a historical reference to it or something. They're just like, here's what
Hey guys, we're wearing gold.
Yeah, you could see the hanger in the graphic still.
Yeah.
This is it, guys. Like, come on, get excited.
You're a big brand too.
Yeah,
I know.
LSU's kind of known for being showy and flashy, and like they're just like, all right, here's the new jerseys.
I didn't even see it
Enjoy.
from them. I saw it from like Uniswag or something.
Yeah.
On 3.
I'll say this about LSU. They're done with their season.
They're done.
The fan base doesn't care. The administration probably doesn't even care at this point.
Because we're sitting here talking about the same things. Let me know.
Oh, yes, Brian Kelly. Brian Kelly, he's probably fired up for tonight's game because he's coaching for his job. I don't know if the team is going to be quite as motivated. So we'll see. Maybe Clark Lee and company can get the upset win. Coming back here quickly before Connor gets to his headline. Next week's schedule a little bit weird with us. We're going to be on the air Black Friday from 6 to 8 a.m. So if you're out doing shopping, that's going to be our main show for the week, 6 to 8. So that'll be our usual 2 hours, and we'll do a lot of previewing of Tennessee Vanderbilt during that stretch. Saturday, we will be on the air from 9 to 9:30, but then pregame coverage starts for Tennessee and Vandy. So we'll lead right into that. So main show is going to be early morning on Black Friday, but we will be on the air 9 to 9:30 on Saturday as well, and get you set for that rivalry showdown on West End.
Eat your cowboy breakfast that Friday morning.
If you're camping out in front of GameStop, please turn us on.
Yes, bring your AirPods and you can listen in, or just
I don't know
play
if
us
people
out
do
loud
that anymore. Do people camp outside?
I
of
don't
a
know if
GameStop
they do anymore. Not
I
GameStop
wish.
at least, but if you're out there shopping, throw an AirPod in, or just play us out loud for everybody to hear.
For everyone, be like Jake Lyman's parents.
Yeah,
Play it out
exactly.
loud
Play
in
it on the
Plattsburgh.
speaker at a tailgate. My parents will actually be at the Virginia Tech Virginia game next weekend.
Oh, I expect a selfie.
Where the Hokies will look to win. God, it's 23 out of 25 or something against the Who's. Connor, go ahead.
Okay, I need to collect myself here because this is a really, really sad headline. Yesterday, at approximately 10:30 a.m., I was driving to go get a haircut, and my car started bucking and bucking and bucking. I was like, what is going on? I had to pull over on the side of the road. I was stranded for about an hour before a mechanic came, and he said, my transmission has gone out. So, unfortunately, it looks like it's the end of an era for the Newtmobile. I would like to take a quick moment of silence for the Newtmobile.
Second chance for a break that would make it okay. There's always some reason.
And mainly for my pockets, because I'm not financially stable enough to buy a new car. But it's something I have to do. I hope my car crosses the Rainbow Bridge and drives the eternal interstate all the way to heaven. I'll see you again, my friend. Thank you for your service. Would you like to say any words?
Connor, we are obviously very upset about you losing. Jake, that was perfect.
I know.
That played like it sounded so good. No, obviously terrible stuff. I mean, I told my story of my car issues, and luckily mine was covered under the class action lawsuit. But I know that that's not the case for you. So,
Yeah.
rip to the Newtmobile.
She was a good girl.
Am I the only one that kind of got choked up?
Oh no,
I choked up.
You-
I
you
was
get choked up.
crying a little bit from laughing.
Yeah. I will say condolences to the patina of the car and everything else along with it, and
Yeah.
obviously to the pockets.
Yeah.
Is that right?
I gotta find something cheap. Not cheap, but like
I may know, guys.
something serviceable. I gotta get through college before I actually get a full-time paying job. They don't pay me enough here. I hope
You'll
Chase
get
is
there.
listening.
Is this the second time this month that Connor has complained
Second
about
week in a
being-
row.
Second week in a row.
where I
You're
formally request a
outwardly
raise,
asking for more money on the air.
please. If you know any, I might start a GoFundMe. Please,
Is that like legal?
I don't
know
even
if that's
know if that
legal.
is.
not to get a raise for a car.
That's what I'm saying. I don't know.
Yeah,
Is
I
that
don't think-
No,
legal?
it is legal.
Is it?
Yeah, if people are willing to give you their money, as long as you're not lying.
It's their money. They just choose to give it to me.
Yeah,
It's
as
their
long-
money. You need it now.
As
Yeah.
long as you're not falsely
JG Whitworth.
advertising.
JG Whitworth,
That's true.
877 cash. Now.
Connor
Or
leads
just
into
free
our
ads here.
question of the day today.
In honor of my first car, which everyone knows, you love that first car till the day you die. Maybe the worst car of all time. You still love it. What was your first car? And do you have as sad a story as I do? If so, we will play Sarah McLachlan the entire show. What's that thing Big Joe says at the end of the show?
Oh, yeah, I can't remember. My brain's not great, but yes, he says it every show.
Yes, he does. Please dial that number, or call AutoZone.
Or call or text us, 615-747-1025.
Nice
and
segue.
let us know your story of your first car. Our phone lines are driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com.
D-Mace has a great one. The Bullet. You ever heard the Bullet?
I don't know if I've heard that one.
I can't tell it because that's his story. But
I'll have to ask
My
D-Mace
memory's
next.
not great enough to recite the whole thing. So
Well, let us know your story of your first car on our text or phone line, 615-737-1025. I actually have a good first car story, and we will get to that. We'll need some Sarah McLachlan for that as well. We'll get to that coming up at 10 o'clock. Connor, I have a suggestion for your next car, and it's going to lead us into our next segment. Maybe
Honda
you should
Accord?
get the Honda Accord.
hey.
We'll talk Nick Westbrook-Akina coming up next. You're listening to 4's Company, 102.5, 106.3 The Game. This week's Nashville's best deal is Bavarian Beer House. This week's Nashville's best deal is Bavarian Beer House, Nashville's only authentic German beer hall, a place full of fun, food, music, and most importantly, beer. Enjoy traditional German beer, brats, giant pretzels, and more in their expansive beer hall and garden. Head to thegamenashville.com/deals now to get a $50 gift card for only $25 to Bavarian Beer House while supplies last. Oh my God.
What was that?
That was the Rizzler jump scare.
It was the Rizzler Save Me remix.
I
was looking for just.
He's got a song too?
I can't
It's part of he has his own verse on.
There's more I gotta learn.
We have dived so much into this family's universe. I feel like we're a part of them.
I saw a video of them the other day. They had Santa Claus in their group now.
They have so many
I
new
was like,
characters. It's
what?
hard to keep up.
What is going on?
Well,
with
they have
the Bufumos?
Jingle Boom is their new song.
It's awful.
It's
I mean,
really bad.
It's really, really.
I was
Okay.
gonna play that this morning, but I remember a conversation from a few weeks ago about Christmas music before Thanksgiving.
Yeah, we
I
can
think
play
that, I think that Jake Lyman has
We
a
can
bone
play
to
it
pick
next
with-
week. Yeah.
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 Um,
No, I'm with you. Let Thanksgiving happen first.
Yeah. We got a week to go. I've got to learn to maybe not start doing reads until I know what song is playing because the Rizzler jumping in mid read was too much for me there.
I heard him come in. I was like, you did not. He started it. I was like, what is he playing?
My jaw is to the floor. Like, what?
I don't even know what. 4's company.
He's
All
killing
right.
it today.
Jake Lyman, Nick Frazier, Connor Newt, Jake Wallman has already had 2 signature moments behind the board
My God.
this morning.
I've trained
There's
you
more where
so
that came
well.
from.
Yeah.
Keep listening.
Wow.
We've got some football to talk here. Titans lost again on Sunday. 2-8 now on the year. Fell to the Minnesota Vikings. Lots of controversy in that game. But we'll wait. We'll talk about that in the next segment. Will Levis, what a game for the second-year quarterback. He had the late pick kind of in desperation time, but 98-yard touchdown to Nick Westbrook-Akine. Great throw to Calvin Ridley that was called back due to an illegal formation penalty. Hit Bryce Oliver down the field. Probably the best game we've seen from Will Levis since at least Miami last year. And maybe shows you that, hey, if he can do that a little bit more and show that he's on the right trajectory, maybe deserves a chance to get a third year with the Titans next season.
Yeah. He's showing some stuff. I think you said it best. That was the best game he's played this season. Now, he's got he's got some excuses to go along with it. I think we'll get to that here in the clip shortly, but I mean, he's just Frazier says it best. He's going to progress and then he's going to regress. So I can't take anything from that. I don't want to say great game. Solid performance.
Above average.
Above average. I can't take anything from that because I know what he's capable of doing, and that's regressing. And I think that's going to happen. Especially this week. He plays a good defense in the Texans.
Yeah.
I just think he's progressing. Obviously, I wish the best for the guy. Obviously, I've been very adamant about moving on from him just every single week, but you got to give the guy credit when it's due, and he's done a good job so far. So maybe the whole AC joint thing in his shoulder, maybe that was what has been hindering him the last couple of weeks since the Miami game, actually, of this year, not of last year, but this year. So maybe, if he does show more signs of improvement, maybe keep him, because you look at the quarterback pool, and we've kind of mentioned this before, but there's not a lot out there. Like Daniel Jones is now a free agent.
Right.
I'm good.
I don't see him coming to Nashville, though. You know what I mean?
I'm good.
Yeah.
Do you feel like you're better off with Daniel Jones in there as a free agent quarterback, or if you draft one? Honestly, I feel like with Shadur Sanders and Cam Ward, it's not like they're these generational prospects where you're immediately upgrading. I feel like there's a lot of the same concerns as you have with Will Levis. Might as well give the guy who has experience in this system another chance. He's still on his rookie deal. And then, you get a whole year to look at him. Talking with TD last night, I mean, the first 3 games were bad for Will Levis. He had 3 pretty catastrophic mistakes in 3 weeks. But then Miami, he only really played a series and a half. Then the Colts game, he was clearly not 100%. Since he's come back and been full strength the last 2 weeks, I think those were clearly the 2 best games he's played this year. Obviously, a long way to go. He's got to continue that through the next 7 weeks, but it's good to see that he is starting to learn from his mistakes. And I don't think we have the clip, but the chest passes and the flailing like trying to do too much. The hero ball has been eliminated so far, which is good to see.
And he mentioned that. He said, well, I haven't done any chest passes or whatever. To which I say, yet. We'll see. But to his credit, he's got a guy that he can rely on now in Nick Westbrook-Akine, the Honda
Accord,
as we call him. But, I mean, he's the best receiver on this team. Not best. Most well-rounded.
most consistent.
He's always going to be there when you need him. Yeah, you're right. Calvin Ridley's probably the best
is more
receiver.
talented,
Yeah,
for sure. But you look at Nick Westbrook-Akine, they kind of buried him on the depth chart this year. They said, you know what? We're tired of Nick Westbrook-Akine being wide receiver 2. Let's keep DeAndre Hopkins, bring in Calvin Ridley, bring in Tyler Boyd, give Treylon Burks as many opportunities as he wants. And guess who's still sticking around?
Yep.
The old Honda Accord, out there scoring 5 touchdowns in the last 6 games.
More than some of the top receivers in the NFL.
Where did he go to college?
Indiana.
That's what I thought.
He's a Hoosier.
Yeah, just something about that DNA over there. I don't know.
We can do better than that. We can be
Well,
better
I'm
than
just
the
saying,
Hoosiers.
this guy. Oh yeah, you were quoting. Sorry. You
No,
were quoting.
no.
Oh.
They're a rival.
Go
Cats.
It's all right. Maybe next year. Maybe
In
next
basketball.
Yeah, they're according to EA Sports College Football 25. They're a rival in football.
Really? Is there a trophy game for that?
No, it's just rivalry.
It just has that little.
Gotcha.
Yeah, a little logo. Yeah,
Dude, NWI has been phenomenal.
He's
Like,
awesome.
To the point where you have to like keep him continuously on every single roster, any type of coaching change. It doesn't matter. Like he has earned the stripes. Like he's that Mr. Reliable.
That's
that
what
you got to have.
He's been getting 1-year deal after 1-year deal. I am ready to say it. It's time to give him a 3-year extension.
yes.
I don't think it's going to be that expensive. I bet you could get him for 3 years.
$8 million a year.
I was gonna say
maybe even
6.
less. I was
Yeah.
thinking like $18 to $20 million total.
Mm.
Like maybe you guarantee 12 of it, 3 years, 20 million.
Yeah, do it.
I think that would get Nick Westbrook-Akine. And, that's a low investment for a guy that is going to be consistent. And I think the Titans need to draft a wide receiver this upcoming year early.
Yeah.
We were going through it yesterday. Over the last 8 years since Dorial Green Beckham, the Titans have picked 3 wide receivers in the first 2 days of drafts. 4, sorry. Corey Davis and Taywan Taylor were both in 2017. AJ Brown, who then was traded for the pick they took Treylon Burks with.
Mm-mm.
So those are the only 4 receivers the Titans have taken on day 1 or 2 since 2016. You've got to start investing in that position more.
What have I I cannot speak today. Stadium Pulse. Frazier, what have I been saying? If he is there, sell your soul for him.
Luther Burden.
No.
Travis Hunter.
Yep.
Do it. See,
Do it.
I like Travis Hunter, and I think he's possibly the best player in this draft class. Probably the best player in this draft class. But I would rather, if you're picking second, I'd rather trade down to 10, 11, 12 and get Luther Burden or I'm going to butcher his name, Tetaroa McMillan, T-Mac
Arizona?
from Arizona.
Yeah.
I would rather trade back, pick up a few extra picks, maybe even a first-round pick the next year, and still get one of those top 3 wide receivers.
I'd love Luther Burden.
Luther Burden he's going to be a guy in the NFL.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe Travis Hunter is going to be better, but if you can get Luther Burden plus a 2026 first and maybe a 2025 third versus just Travis Hunter, I would take Burden in the picks.
Yeah, I see that. But if for some reason you have the number 2 pick and Travis Hunter falls, you better.
I wouldn't hate it. I mean, heading into next year with a top 3 wide receivers of Calvin Ridley, Nick Westbrook-Akine, and pick your poison of those top 3 wide receivers, I think puts the Titans in a good spot. You have to address right tackle. If Jared's out there listening, you have to address right tackle as well.
You know he's not listening.
But I don't think you spend another top 10 pick on the offensive line. Like if you go 3 straight years, guard, left tackle, right tackle, like you're leaving too many holes elsewhere.
I was thinking about that because I've been pretty adamant on this show. They need to fix the tackle early in the draft and draft Will Campbell, the kid out of LSU, or blanking on it. He's out of Texas. He's also a
Yeah, I know who
tackle.
you're talking about.
I've been pretty adamant if you have like a top 7 pick to do that. But over time, I've been thinking this would be the 3rd year in a row the Titans have spent a top 15 draft pick on an offensive tackle or lineman. I mean, so you're right. You're leaving too many holes elsewhere.
And I would be perfectly fine. I mean, if the Titans are, let's say they're picking 2nd or 3rd in this scenario, you're picking 2nd or 3rd in the 2nd round too. Pick a tackle there. Like pick your right tackle there. I haven't studied up on draft boards enough to know exactly who's going to be available, but I think that's a spot where you could get your tackle. Maybe even if you trade back and pick up an extra 3rd round pick, take your tackle there. We've seen tackles in the 2nd and 3rd round this year end up making an impact. Roger Rosengarten is the starting right tackle for the Ravens. I think you can address that later in the draft or in free agency, but you need a playmaker that can grow with Will Levis or whoever your quarterback is next year. So I'm leaning towards one of those top 3 receivers, but you got to extend the Honda Accord too. Nick Westbrook-Akine deserves his flowers. Pay that man over the next couple of weeks.
Where did Honda Accord come from?
TD.
Ah,
Yeah, Tehran. I think it was in the offseason he was talking about Nick Westbrook-Akine, and he was like, he's like that old Honda Accord. It's 20 years old, but it still runs just as good as the first day you got it.
There you go.
Consistent.
I'm sorry, TD. I didn't realize I was familiar with your game.
Yeah. You need to maybe you need to go get the Honda Accord. Just saying.
Yeah.
Maybe I should.
615.
Cheap.
It is. Yeah, that might be your best option.
Does she got a sweet sound system?
I believe so.
I don't know.
You can probably get that going as well.
That's not part of the metaphor. I don't think. But
no, it's not. We're actually talking about the actual car, not Nick Westbrook-Akine.
615-737-1025 is our phone number if you want to chime in. And once again, our question of the day: what was your first car as we mourn the Newtmobile? And is there any good story for you of your car? 615-737-1025. Our phone line's driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. We'll talk more about the Titans game on Sunday when we come back. The officiating, once again, a story for back-to-back weeks. Let's talk about it next. 4's Company, 1025, 1063 The Game. I'm Jared Stillman, Chris Sanders, and Derek Mason at Twin Peaks in Madison. Tomorrow morning for the pregame show, 9:30 to 11:30 a.m. They will break down the Titans' Week 12 matchup against the Texans and give you the latest updates before the game. The pregame show is presented by Parman Tractor and Equipment, Sundeck Nashville, Sloan's Motorcycle ATV, and award-winning Blue Note Juke Joint and Blue Note Crossroads Bourbon. 4's Company on this Saturday morning. Jake Lyman, Nick Frazier, Connor Newt, Jake Wallman with you. We're talking Titans. Coming up next, we'll get to Newt's Notes. And then in the second hour, we'll talk some Preds and get you ready for a full slate of college football games, including Indiana and Ohio State coming up right after us here on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game. Guys, we talked about Will Levis and his solid game against the Vikings on Sunday, but did not get the win. And a lot of that, I'm not a blame the officials guy, because no matter how bad the officials are, usually you have an opportunity to make up for it. But the officials handed the Vikings 7 points and took 7 points off the board from the Titans on two very judgment questionable calls. 2 weeks in a row, we're talking about officiating with touchdowns being taken off the board or put on the board for another team. I don't think the NFL is rigged or anything like that, but it is strange that these things just keep going against the Titans over and over and over again.
You know what that means? What am I going to say here?
Titans are going to tighten?
No.
I don't know.
The ball did not bounce their
That is
way.
true. The ball did not bounce their way.
It did not. Because the ball is not round. It's
what's the
word he used?
Oblong.
Oblong. Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah.
The hit in the end zone, I can understand, like, first look at it. You're like, okay, that might be unnecessary roughness. But you've got 6 guys out there. Somebody should have seen, hey, he got him shoulder to the chest and picked that flag up. Or the replay review, they can radio down and say, hey, that was shoulder to the chest. That's a clean hit. Pick up the flag. But none of that happened. And they defended it in the post-game pool report too. I just don't get on 4th and 1 how you call that. That was about as textbook of a clean hit as you can possibly get.
My favorite was, like, they obviously call in Gene Steratore, the rules analyst for every sport imaginable for some reason.
Yeah, he's like college basketball too, isn't he?
I'm like, well, okay. But basically they would call him in and he was like, yeah, that's not the right call. That's pretty garbage. I was like, Gene knows all the rules.
Which Jared is right when he says usually Gene or whoever those rules analysts are, they will back up their guys for the most part. They're going to come in and try and defend the officials on the field. Oh, well, here's what they probably saw. They probably made the right call. But Gene came in, he was like, yeah, I don't see that one there. I don't get how they make that call. So that's when you know that the call on the field was bad, when even Gene Steratore is saying, yeah, they messed up.
Didn't Cleet Blankman, is it Blankman, right?
Cleet Blakeman, yeah.
Blake, thank you. Yeah. And what a name, right? Cleet.
I'm gonna name my kid that.
There you go. Well, anyways, I believe, didn't he say in after the game, it was because he launched his body off the ground?
That's what they said. They launched, and they said there was forcible contact to the head or neck area.
See, that second part, that's where the gray area begins, because you could have forcible contact to the head or neck area almost on any hit.
But watch the replay. He's playing for the ball.
Exactly.
And his feet were on the ground too.
Yeah.
He didn't launch.
Yeah.
And he hit him right in the number 3 on Jordan Addison's chest.
Yeah.
Like that.
That's a football play.
It was a textbook hit. And, I didn't watch it live because I was over at Vandy, but I was kind of scrolling through Twitter, and it was so funny. National media, local media, all tweeting, that might be the worst call I've ever seen in my life. And I wouldn't go that far, because there's been some bad calls, like obviously the Rams Saints pass interference. That's the first one that comes to my mind, but it was pretty bad. And then the illegal formation calls, I get it's a quote unquote point of emphasis for the NFL this year, but you look at it, if he was off the line of scrimmage, it was by a hair.
Mm-hmm.
And you take a touchdown off the board. Great throw from Will Levis too. I hate the officials being the story in a game for the second straight week.
You should have just stopped there. I hate the officials. Let's go to break.
I'm a big believer. We get coaches and players up to the podium after games and ask them questions.
Don't go where I think you're going.
I'm going to go there.
Don't do it.
Why not?
Because it's stupid. Because
they make judgment calls just as much.
Like an official press conference?
Yes.
Don't do it.
I feel like they should have to answer.
It's never gonna happen.
It may not happen, but I'm for it because coaches make judgment calls the entire game. Players make judgment calls the entire game, and they have to answer for it. Officials make judgment calls on calls like illegal formation and unnecessary roughness and stuff like that. I feel like they should have to answer for those.
Well, they do the pool report.
Yeah,
Yeah.
But like,
I'm
it's
fine with
one
like
reporter.
I'm fine with like a scrum, like a quick. Hey, what was your thought on that? I don't want to see an official go right up to the podium, have a 15-minute press conference.
I don't know if we need that, but
maybe not. But I feel like they should have to answer for some. I mean, for some of these calls that are just outright ridiculous.
I agree with that.
I
I thought you were going.
I
Like,
could see Cleat going up to the podium. Well, the flag didn't bounce their way. I don't know.
the flag is thin. It is not a ball.
It is ridiculous how protected officials are, though. Like the fact that Brian Callahan couldn't even go to the podium and say, like, that's a terrible call because he's going to get fined.
Yeah.
It is ridiculous that you're not allowed to criticize the officiating when it is bad. And I love that Brian Callahan was going after those officials. I need to see the John Boy lip reading. I think they were working on it.
I think that's what he said to Rand the other day.
Yeah, he said,
He's
how many plays have they taken away from us today?
Yeah.
Was the lip reading that I think somebody got.
Yeah. He's like, Rand, don't get mad. I'm about to cost you some money. But
Tough. It's tough. I mean, again,
I could use some of that money.
Same story as last week. Did it affect the outcome of the game? I'd be more inclined to say yes for the Vikings game because, again, it was a 14-point swing on those plays. I still don't know if you can say that cost the Titans the game because the game would have been played a completely different way had the Vikings not scored that touchdown. So you can't say that it cost them the game, but man, it had a big impact back-to-back weeks. Titans fall to 2-8, and now back-to-back tough road games, which I don't know if you would have said the Commanders are going to be a tough road game at the beginning of the year, but Texans and Commanders on the road in back-to-back weeks, there's a half-decent chance the Titans are 2-10 coming back home to face the Jaguars in early December.
Yeah, and I guarantee you they win one of those games.
Mike Vrabel's not the coach anymore.
Yeah. Well,
No, but he will be on the Manning Cast on Monday.
That is true.
if he's no, the Browns won. There was a report that said there are odds that
Yeah,
Stefanski is out and Vrabel's in.
he'd be the interim head coach. Yeah. Speaking of which, quickly before we go to break here, Mike Mularkey, just quickly on this. I mean, Ian Rappaport, did you see the clip of him
he
talking
said
about
it.
it?
He said it to us.
He was really mad.
Yeah.
Mike Mularkey just straight up lying to Ian Rappaport and be like, hey, I got a contract extension. Because that was a very confusing morning. Like you woke up and you saw the tweet, like Titans have offered Mike Mularkey a contract extension. I was like, oh, wow. Well, I guess that makes sense. They won a playoff game. And then like 2 hours later, actually he got fired.
Well, in the clip, Mularkey said he knew he like it was obvious he was going to go in and get fired. And yesterday, Ian Rappaport tweeted out that it was like I guess, you know, because he obviously saw Mularkey's clip on that podcast, and I think it's kind of funny that Ian Rappaport's just like, yeah, he lied to me.
Yeah. I do think I still to this day think he got a raw deal though.
But all he had to do was fire Terry Robisky. Like there was no issues with Mike Mularkey. Robinson and Amy Adams-Strunk said, you got to fire the offensive coordinator. He's bad. The fans hate him.
Yeah.
And he wouldn't do it. That's on him.
Yeah, that is true.
It's on him. We saw it with Clark Lee this year at Vanderbilt. He was on the hot seat after losing the last 10 games of the year.
Mm-hmm.
He made a complete 180 flip of his coaching staff, and look where they are now.
Yeah. They'll probably give him an extension, if we're being honest.
Yeah, I mean, probably. And I bet if Mike Mularkey had said, you know what, you're right, we're gonna let's look at the offensive staff and make some changes, I bet he doesn't get fired.
And I bet we have a completely different quarterback story.
Yeah, what does Marcus look like?
Yeah.
Because Marcus was coming on, that was his second season.
I mean,
No.
Marcus went through
That was his third season.
Yeah, that was his third.
That was post his leg break.
Marcus went through 3 coaching changes here. I think.
Yeah.
Maybe more.
No, 3.
I think it was
Because it
3.
was Wisenhunt.
It was 3.
It was
Wisenhunt
Wisenhunt his rookie year, and
And
then
Mularkey was the interim.
Robisky was his offensive coordinator after that. Then LaFleur, and then he finished with Arthur Smith.
Yeah.
So he had 4 different offensive coordinators in 5 years.
Yeah. And then Vrabel came in 18, 19.
Yeah. His last 2 years were Vrabel, but he had 2 different offensive coordinators.
Peter's playing.
Anyway, just crazy that Mike Mularkey, the GM and the owner that were out to get me. I'm like, dude, just fire your offensive coordinator. That's all you had to do and you would have kept your job. They weren't out to get you. They wanted you to make the right decision for your coaching staff.
I will say it was kind of a chef's kiss in a roundabout way the way he did it with Rappaport. I thought it was
It
kind of
was,
quick.
no, it's really funny.
It's hilarious.
Real quick. I know we're not talking Preds, but I have a little bit of breaking news.
Oh.
The Predators have recalled forward Fedor Svechkov from Milwaukee.
Oh, wow.
And reassigned defenseman Adam Wilsby.
Wow. So
Will Svechkov debut tonight? We don't know.
yeah, we don't know for sure, but wow, that's
another NHL debut coming up soon.
It's a big move. I mean, Barry Trotz is shuffling the roster. Obviously, brought up LaRue, who just scored his first NHL goal, and now we see Svechkov up here. So, Preds trying to figure it out. Are the Jets officially the best team in the NHL?
Oh yeah,
I know it's
oh yeah.
I know they were up there. So, big game tonight. You can hear that right here on the game coming up later. We'll take a break. We'll talk some Preds in the second hour of the show, but it's 9:45, which means it's time for Newt's Notes coming up next. You're on 4's Company, 102.5, 106.3 The Game.
his name and he appears. I believe in,
Connor Newt.
I believe in,
Newt's notes.
'cause they love him in London and Paris and Tokyo.
4's Company, 102.5, 106.3 The Game. It's time for Newt's Notes. Connor, the floor is yours.
I love how every time I tell Jake Wallman surprise me, he just plays this one.
It's my favorite.
Yeah. It's the original. It might be the best.
I think this is my favorite one.
Yeah.
No, LA Knight's the original.
Yeah, that is the original. But this is the first
The first
created one.
Yeah.
Handcrafted.
The Newt's notes.
Handcrafted. Okay, so I have a proposal for EA Sports. We talk a lot about EA Sports and college football game and how I have 300 hours plugged into it. Not even joking. I have a problem. But the time has come. We need EA Sports college basketball back. And
Amen.
we need I'm not a big Madden guy.
I know. I said amen.
Oh, I thought you said and Madden. I'm sorry.
We already have Madden.
Yeah, I was like, what? I was like, all right. Well, Jake Wallman inspired me because I saw you quote tweet
Yeah,
the old NCAA 10, which I didn't get to experience.
No.
I was too little.
that was more of a me, Nick Frazier, Jake Lyman.
Yeah. Blake
Era
Griffin on the
game.
cover.
Yeah, I mean, I'm familiar with the game. I know. I've never played it, but I've watched enough to know how it works.
The gameplay is rough.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I went back and played a little bit ago on my old PS3, and I was like, after playing 2K, like it's just so.
The presentation is ahead of its time.
Oh yeah,
You got Dick Vitale on the ESPN broadcast, and then you got Gus Johnson
right
on CBS.
Vern Lundquist was a part of that one as well.
Yeah, they switched to CBS for March Madness, which was awesome. And I loved the before you play, you're warming up on the court, and then it fades into the actual.
It fades
stadium.
into the arena. And what I would always do, just to kind of give it that broadcast feel, is I would immediately make like an easy layup, and then I'd start the game.
Yep.
So like it's ESPN breaking into just a like a sold out arena.
Yeah.
For a really big like conference game or something.
So what I'm proposing is you played NBA Live, right?
Yeah.
Especially the old one. I still have it on disc. NBA Live 19 with Joel Embiid on the cover. Underrated, ahead of its time. I mean, I like it better than 2K, but make it with that gameplay, but incorporate the college football stuff. Like I want the recruiting. I want the traditions. I would love to see, I'll use Kentucky, for example, Kentucky running out of the tunnel in Rupp Arena, and you see the flag coming up behind them, the Kentucky in the student section. Do that. I don't care if you don't have to have the CBS, ESPN stuff, but just, I would love to have, I know he's with CBS, Iron Eagle. They'll probably end up with like Jay Billis and that. Because it's an ESPN thing, but do that soon, because if you do that, I will never play another game. That will be the only game I play ever for the rest of my life in college football. But,
No, I agree. It was a fun game, and I think they could do a good job with it. I think the question is there enough of a market for that?
It's not going to sell as well.
It won't sell as well as football, but if you're making enough money on football, maybe you could do it. It's just, I'm sure it's a large endeavor to make a whole new game from scratch. And I know you could use like the NBA Live engine.
Yeah.
But
they also haven't made NBA Live in like 5 years.
Yeah, exactly. So it would basically be a whole new game. It would have to sell a lot in year one,
or just make one.
Just make one?
Just make one.
And just update it.
Or if you don't want to make one, remaster the old one.
Yeah.
It would have to have really good graphics.
Here's the thing. They're just 2K is king when it comes to basketball. We all know
Or let
that.
2K make it.
And I think they would. They didn't have.
That's what they should do.
EA still has the rights.
Oh, do they?
Yeah.
That's tough.
2K. I was gonna say if 2K had the rights, that's how you rival college football.
Yeah.
What do those rights cost, you think? Maybe 15, 20 million?
They're not selling though.
I hate
Yeah,
some
EA is not going to sell it to their competitor.
They're not.
That's true.
selling.
That's true.
They're either going to make it or they're going to hold on to it and just never do anything with it.
I mean, a lot of people
So
hate on
greedy.
EA because they play online. I don't play online. I don't really like it. I'll play an online Dynasty,
Yeah.
but I don't like playing like straight up head to head.
Right.
Not for
Ultimate
me.
Team and
Yeah, no.
I did that recently in college football.
I don't like
really.
it.
I won.
It can be fun for a little bit, but I prefer
Surprisingly.
the dynasty part of it
Yeah.
with the recruiting.
I
and
just
all
like
that.
the storytelling. I like to play it on my tempo. I like creating my own stories. Right now at Kentucky in football, they're not actually brothers, but I recruited two guys with the same last name in the same class, Milo and you're gonna laugh when I tell you what their names are, Milo and Nick McCracken. I'm not even kidding.
I know a realtor. That's her last name.
McCracken?
Yeah.
I know a stadium that has that name.
Yeah, their dad Phil.
Yeah, Phil. But
Yep.
I mean,
If Joe Dubin walked. Oh wait, no, Joe's not here.
No, he wasn't.
Milo is a 99 overall junior running back with elite dev, and then Nick has kind of come onto the scene.
Huh.
He's a sophomore red shirt because he's a wide receiver. He kind of sucks, so I redshirted him. He's kind of come up. He's an 89 now. I'm like, Nick, you go run those routes, son. I sound like Robbie.
You did.
No, I'm with you. I think a college basketball game would be great, and it doesn't have to be a yearly release, but you could maybe make it, see how it does, and at least there's one for the new generation.
That's what I'm going to do with college football. I'm never trading it in until I know for a fact the new one is out.
Yeah,
because that was the mistake we made.
Well, I didn't. I kept my 360 in that game, and
Well, Dad sold ours. So
Uh-oh.
I was like, dude, like,
it's all right.
it's okay. I have it now.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter.
yeah,
I have it now.
we've made it.
We've made it.
615-737-1025 is the phone number. If you have thoughts, and if you're from EA Sports and you're out there listening,
Please
bring Connor's petition up the ladder.
sign me onto the board. I'll give you some ideas.
There we go.
Only for the team in blue, though.
Instead of signing you on, why don't they just give you a car in return?
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, please.
There you go.
I'll take anything
Barter. Go back and
except
Connor
for like a white van. I don't really want any kids to be afraid of me.
615-737-1025 is our phone number. Text or call. Our question of the day is
Everyone is broken here.
What was your first car? And do you have a great story with your first car? We're going to tell ours coming up next here on 4's Company, 1025-1063 The Game. Hour number 2 on this Saturday, 4's Company, 102.5, 106.3 The Game. Jake Lyman, Nick Frazier, Connor Newt, Jake Wallman alongside you. Going to get to our question of the day here. Coming up later in the hour, we're going to talk some Preds as they prepare to take on the Winnipeg Jets later tonight at Bridgestone Arena. Talk some college football as well. Some big games across the country today as we inch closer to the college football playoff. We'll also make some picks. But first, let's get back to our question of the day. Connor Newt, rip to the Newtmobile.
Rest in peace.
Rest in peace, as his car's transmission went out yesterday. He wants to know, what was your first car? And do you have a good story to go along with it? We're going to give our answers here. Nick Frazier, do you have a good first car story?
Sure. Yeah, I mean, my first car was a 04 Jeep Grand Cherokee. It was my dad's old company car, and we still have it, actually. He uses it to haul his trailer around from time to time, but
It still runs?
oh yeah, still runs. It
Wow.
Selling?
It's been through the ringer. It's got like, I think 290 something thousand miles on it, I think. Now my mom, her first car, well, not first car, but she bought a 1998 Land Cruiser, and that has like 380,000 miles on it. Toyota. I mean, that thing's gonna run,
See, I just hit
run forever.
I just hit 190,000, and the mechanic was like, "I'm surprised you made it that far,"
Yeah.
because usually cars are out by like 150.
Yeah.
So
But yeah, Jeep Grand Cherokee 04. My dad put a lot of highway miles on that for work. But once I got to high school, that was my car, not of choice, but car by default. And every single time after football practice, I'd try to turn it on and just wouldn't turn over. And I'm like, what's going on here? Can I not go home? And then, you see the athletic director come up in the parking lot. Hey, man, what are you still doing here? I'm like, my car just won't turn over. I don't know what to tell you. So we jump it every time it would work. I go home in the mornings when it's super cold to go to school. It would work fine to get to school. Every time I'm trying to go home, it never would want to turn back on.
It's always the worst possible times.
But yeah, that was my first car. It ran great. Now it just kind of it's kicked the bucket, in my opinion. My dad needs to get rid of it, but he won't. So
But still have it with almost 300,000 miles.
it's close. Yeah,
It's
close
crazy.
to that.
Jake Wallman, what was your first car?
I'm kind of in the same boat as Frazier. My first car was a 1998 red Ford pickup truck.
Hey,
It was my dad's. I remember the day he brought it home. That's how close I was to the car. And so when I was in high school, I get my license. It's time to get a car. He has a new truck, and we were just kind of using it as like a thing to haul wood and trash and stuff. So I get the car. I remember the lining, like the ceiling lining that you had, in a car and stuff. It was so old, it was like falling from the ceiling. Like it was just hanging off and stuff, like we had like a mountain lion and loose in there or something. And it had a lot of problems, kind of like Frazier's. I think it was the heat didn't work. So and like me and my brother had like a 25 minute ride to school every morning. So like those cold winter mornings when we're riding to school, normally you can take a jacket off, but we had to keep ours on. So, and one day my grandfather and I were working on the radio, and we had looked away for a moment, and the radio just started smoking. So we eventually had to give it away. It was a good car. It gave me a nice, probably year and a half.
Wow.
So
Wow. I had a red pickup truck as well. That was
there
my
it
first
is.
car. 2004 Toyota Tacoma.
hey,
I remember the day my dad brought it home too, but that was my car when I got my license, and it was great. Never really had any issues with it. I had it until my junior year of college, where one day I was driving down to Bluefield, West Virginia, to call a Division III wrestling meet. That was it was a Saturday morning, and I went down to call a Division III wrestling meet, and it was an icy day in Southwest Virginia. And on the highway, hit a patch of ice, spun out, crashed into the guardrail. Thank goodness there was no cars around, because if there were cars near me, it would have been a pileup, because I wasn't going over the speed limit. I was trying to be careful, but just hit a slick spot, spun left, spun back right, and then was turned back the other way and hit the guardrail. And It was totaled. I was still able to drive it down to Bluefield and call the wrestling meet that day. It was the
Just missing the front bumper.
it was the Appalachian Athletic Conference's wrestling championship. So I called that and then got it all the way back. Brought it into the shop, and they said that it would cost more to fix it than it was worth. So.
How bad was the damage? Are we talking like bent in?
Well, so it wasn't that bad. The wheel well in the front was bent, so it was kind of rubbing against the tire a little bit. Like
Right.
that was the worst part of it. One of the headlights was messed up. But then the issue was there was a dent in the bed, and because of insurance, they have to get it back to its former state. They would have had to replace the entire bed, and so that was why it was totaled. Tough. Toyota truck, it would have run forever. I remember my dad would always get people coming up to him like in hotel parking lots, like, "Hey, I'll give you like $10,000 in cash right now if you give me that car." Like people love the 04 Tacoma. I think my dad still is very upset that it crashed, but you know,
Mr. Lyman, please forgive him. He does a good job around
I don't
here.
think he
Like,
blames me for it because like it was icy. It's not like I was going 80 miles an hour.
How
Like,
Yeah.
how nervous were you getting that truck home after that wrestling?
oh,
meet?
very, very nervous. That was like a 2-hour drive too.
Wow.
So like it was iffy there for a little bit, but we got it back. We made it work, and now we've got the Santa Fe that is running fine after the issues this summer. So
Yeah. I don't know. My heart's not in it today. I think my favorite part about my car was she was a good girl. She loved her mama and Jesus and her boyfriend too.
Was the Newtmobile your first car?
Did no one get that?
I got it.
Thank you. Yes, the Newtmobile was the first car.
Is that All American Girl? Is that
No, it's free falling.
Free Falling? Yeah, gotcha. All American Girl's a good one too.
Connor's just on one today, and I love it. I love every bit of it.
Boyfriend. Yeah, that's Free Falling. Well done.
I'm glad you got my Tom.
I
Petty reference.
understood it. I had my wires crossed.
I mean, that was a boomer joke if I've ever
It was
given one, which is why I'm kind of on one because I don't know. It's a bad day. Yesterday was a bad day.
We
all
feel
have 'em.
for you, Connor.
There's a chance she pulls through.
Let's hope.
Let's hope.
Fingers crossed.
I say she's dead. She's dead for the moment. She can be revived. We're towing it to the transmission specialist, and if he's like, yeah, you might as well just get a new, because transmissions
They're expensive.
pretty expensive.
Yeah.
So
Just to set the record straight, folks that are listening on the radio, we're talking about Connor's car. Just putting that out there.
Yeah.
no,
that's
I
true.
did not lose
Yeah.
a child.
Yes. Connor's car, its transmission went out yesterday. We'll have to get an update next week and
We'll hope.
see if the transmission has started to pull through.
The thing is, it's like, this is literally the worst possible time for this to happen.
Right.
Because school's ending here in a couple weeks. Obviously, I work here.
Yeah.
So I got to be here.
You got places to be.
But I mean, how am I going to get to school?
Yeah.
That's the thing. It's
Yeah.
just,
Christmas is like a month away, so
yeah. Santa's not bringing me a car this year.
I mean,
go ahead and tell
it
you
doesn't
that
have to be
now.
new.
It's
It
not
could be a
happening.
December to remember.
This isn't a Hallmark movie. I'm not gonna wake up on Christmas morning and there's a nice white Prius out in the driveway with a big red bow on it. That's not happening.
You know what? You just gave me a good idea.
To get your fiance for Christmas?
No. God, I don't have that kind of money. Christmas, one of our shows around Christmas, we're going to make it homework for all of us to watch one really corny Hallmark movie and come back with a review. I'm deciding that now.
I'm petitioning we do a white elephant live on air.
Oh, yeah, that's good too.
Let's do that.
We're going to have a fun Christmas special.
Ban gift cards though. If you bring a gift card,
Yeah, no
you're
gift cards.
disqualified.
Got to be, we'll set a price limit.
It's gonna be really, really short because there's only 4 of us, but
Yeah.
we're gonna do it.
No
All right.
bags of popcorn either.
No food.
All right.
No
No
food,
food.
but we'll say like, I don't know, $10, $15 price limit.
Let's jack it up to 25.
No iPods.
All right. We'll work on that.
I got that.
And
That was
oh,
a good
yeah.
episode.
yeah, that's a
No
good one.
teapots with ketchup inside of them.
Creed going into his closet and pulling out this number.
That's a good episode.
615-737-1025 is our phone number. If you want to chime in, any stories on your car and any ideas for our Christmas shows, we're going to have some fun. Oh, Nick Frazier.
180 from Luke.
Darts are going crazy off to my right.
I love it.
We'll take a break. Join the Nashville Predators tonight for a special 6 p.m. puck drop as they welcome back to Smashville Hockey Hall of Famers David Poyle and Shea Weber. There will be a ceremonial puck drop ahead of the game. Our coverage begins at 5 p.m. right here on 102.5 The Game and the Game Nashville app. Nick Frazier might fall out of his chair.
Back-to-back 180s from Luke Littler.
Oh,
It's
is he gonna do a 9-dart?
No, no
If
9.
I had any idea
Maybe
what
next
you were talking about, I'd be celebrating with you. But
It's incredible.
my heart's not in it today.
We'll take a break. We'll talk about the Preds on the other side. 4's Company, 102.5, 106.3 The Game. Tune in to 94.9 The Fan today for Vanderbilt football, presented by Prince's Hot Chicken. The Commodores will take on LSU with pregame beginning at 5, kickoff at 6:45. Coverage also available on the 94.9 The Fan app and at theGameNashville.com. 4's Company, 102.5, 106.3 The Game. Jake Lyman, Nick Frazier, Connor Newt, Jake Wallman. Going to talk some Predators here as they prepare for their return home to Bridgestone Arena.
Sorry.
Nick Frazier is going crazy to some darts.
He just double bullseye. That's crazy.
That is crazy. That is crazy.
Continuing with the
I
Preds.
can see
We're going to
that.
talk Preds. Preds taking on the Jets tonight. Tough matchup. And the Predators trying to dig out of this hole that they've dug through the first couple of weeks of the season. Guys, do we feel like it's gotten a little bit too deep for them at this point after a road trip where, yes, they got some points, 2 overtime losses and 1 win, I believe. Or 1 win, right? They got
Vancouver.
4 points on the road trip, which not fantastic, not terrible, but you kind of need to be getting 6 to 7 points on that road trip if you want to start getting back into contention.
I don't want to say it's too deep of a hole because it's still we've only played
It's very early.
a fourth of the season. It's an 82 game season. We've played 20 games, I think, around that area.
Yeah,
give
give
or
or
take,
take.
yeah.
Yeah.
Give or take. I don't think it's too deep. I think they can turn it around, but with that being said, we are approaching a territory where maybe some drastic changes need to start happening. I'm not saying we need to fire Andrew Brunette. I'm actually defending keeping Andrew Brunette. I think he's a great coach. I love his system, but I think we've said this before too. You're not trading your key pieces and Yossi Forsberg, Stamkos, and then Shea and Marchessault. But I think there's a possibility you could start to see some of these glue guys, for lack of a better term. Maybe we start flipping those old guys, and maybe some guys start getting called up. Like we just saw it today. Fedor Svechkov getting called up. Willsby going down. I don't think he played much, but could we see, Colton Sissons get flipped? Could we see maybe Juuso Parsons playing great? I wouldn't bring him down.
No.
Luke Evangelista, could he maybe go down? Maybe.
I would say no to that, though.
Could we see a Mark Jankowski or on the defensive side a Kyrie or a Lozon? I don't know, but I mean it's just a brutal start to the season for the Preds, and I think they can get out of it. I lose a little bit of hope every day, as is life, but I think they can get out of it. It starts tonight.
Yeah, and like you mentioned about Brunette, I'm in the same camp with you. I defend him as well because his ideology of you play fast and transition and so forth, that works. But to me, it's almost like I wonder if you you don't need to dumb it down because your veterans know what you're wanting to do. I feel like the pace has to slow down a tad bit.
Yeah.
Because you got these 32, 30-year-olds, hell, even some of them are 34 in some regard. They don't got the legs of a 21-year-old anymore.
I think it's an effort issue.
You think?
I think there's laziness in the locker room.
I think there's maybe a little bit of that, but I think it's from the immaturity of the young players.
And I think there's a lack of accountability. And that's the thing. Not from the coaching, because I think Brunette is incredibly accountable. Barry Trotz, as we've seen on this station, incredibly accountable.
Oh, yeah.
He will not hold back. So I think it's a player thing. I think it's I don't want to say it's a chemistry thing because it's been 20 games with a new team.
Yeah.
It should start to gel.
I just think it needs to be dumbed down a little bit. Saying the wrong term there, but I think it just needs to be just put at a slower
Simplified.
pace. Yes, thank you. Simplified. Just for those veteran guys, because you're seeing them kind of overdo it, just being as individuals. Like Jonathan Marchessault has just been abysmal with the puck at his skin.
I mean,
it's like they look for the extra pass instead of taking the open shot.
Yeah,
Just
something
shoot the
like that.
puck.
Yeah.
You come out of July 1st with Stamkos, Marchessault, and Shea. I think it's fair to say none of those guys have lived up to expectations. Stamkos has been close. Like Stamkos has started to play a lot better after a slow start.
Mm-hmm.
But man, Marchessault and Shea have, those big contracts, they have just not been good.
Shea especially.
Yeah.
Shea has been rough.
And it's crazy because a lot of the Preds, it's not a lot, but I'd say a good bit of their goals have kind of come on the power play, which has been a missing factor in the last couple of years. It's almost like you kind of want the roles to switch a little bit. More goals, not on the power play.
And
Just
they
so
have
you
the
can kind of,
top. They have the top penalty kill in the league.
yeah, which just it doesn't add up.
It's. Can we play every game 4-on-5 now?
I mean, sure. If it'll get you wins, I'm fine with it.
Yeah, it is funny. Like Marchessault has no 5-on-5 goals this year
Yeah, I
or
think
something like that.
Yeah.
one of them was a 6-on-5, right? In overtime, something like that.
Yeah, it might have been.
Yep.
Yeah,
And it counts as a
it counts as an even strength goal, but it's just if you were looking for why this team wouldn't succeed, it would be the big time acquisitions didn't pan out. And so far that's been a large reason. Like I think Saros has been solid. Yossi and Forsberg have been maybe not elite, but they've been their usual selves. It's been the new guys who just haven't been able to step up. And the young guys also haven't taken the step forward that maybe we would have hoped with Novak and Evangelista and guys like that.
Yeah. It's just a brutal start. But to your point, I mean, I can't blame Andrew Burnett.
No.
There are people on Twitter, they live in our Twitter apparently. Fire Andrew Burnett. It doesn't work. Jared says he can see why people are saying that. I don't understand it.
I'm not there yet either.
Because what has he done to show you that he's not capable of leading this team? A coach doesn't go from the top 3 coaches in the league competing for the Coach of the Year award to just garbage in 1 year, less than a year, a few months.
Yeah,
That's just not how it works.
I mean, he took a team last year that I don't think even Barry Trotz was expecting to do much and took them to the playoffs. So,
and that's the reason you saw this buy-in this year.
He's earned a little bit of a grace period here. I'm not saying you give him a super long leash. Like if this continues for the full year, I could definitely see the Preds making a change in the offseason. But firing him midseason when you're only, like we said, a quarter of the way into the year,
that'll only set you back more.
Exactly. You might get a little bump out of it because I feel like every time a team fires their coach midseason, there's an interim coach boost where guys are like a little more on their game. They're like, oh, what? This might be serious. Like we've got to pick it up.
Yeah.
But I'm willing to give Burnett the full season. I'm not.
How many interim coaches across all sports have actually worked out?
Ed Orgeron.
And he
where is he now?
He worked out for like 2 years.
Yeah.
They got a national championship out of it, did they not?
They
did.
One of the greatest teams in college football history.
They did. They were stacked top to bottom. But I'm saying like there is probably an outlier in this debate, but very, very rarely do interim coaches actually pan out over time.
Right.
Sure.
And you're probably, if you're firing Andrew Burnett, you're punting on the season at that point.
Yeah.
Which
you're punting on the whole project, honestly.
Well, no, I think the window is longer than just this year. Like,
well, yeah.
That's why I don't think you punt.
No, that's what I'm saying is I think you give Burnett the year. And yes, if they end up being one of the 2 or 3 worst teams in the NHL at the end of the year with all this talent on the roster, then I think you might have to make a move. But let's give them some time.
Yeah.
We saw last year, the Preds weren't in position. I'm not saying they're going to have a 19-game point streak, but they weren't really in position to be a playoff team until after the U2 concert thing. Like, they haven't had that moment yet.
Let's book a concert
and
cancel
it immediately. No, I think they haven't had that moment where things have turned yet. I think they're going to have it. Maybe it could be tonight. You're playing a team that people aren't going to give you a ton of a chance against, but it's a big night with David Poyle and Shea Weber there being celebrated for entering the Hockey Hall of Fame. This could be a night where you get your swagger back a little bit, and maybe it starts to trend things in the right direction for the Preds.
Maybe they'll feel my energy through the board. Connor Newt on the 1s and 2s.
Connor Newt on who is with you?
Our new guy,
Christian
Skelton.
How about it?
An all MTSU studio tonight.
There will be wrestling music played tonight. I will go ahead and tell you
sure.
that.
I'm sure. 615-737-1025 is our phone number if you want to chime in on the Predators. We're going to move on. We're going to go to some college football here as we are just 30 minutes away from getting the full day of college football started. Indiana, Ohio State coming up right after us on the station. We'll talk about that game. We'll talk about Tennessee and Vanderbilt coming up next week in what could be a huge game for the Vols and other games that could have college football playoff implications later on today. That's up next here on 4's Company, 102.5, 106.3 The Game. Tune in to 93.3 FM, Totally Hits Nashville today for MTSU football. The Blue Raiders taking on New Mexico State with a kickoff time of 1:30 p.m. The pregame show begins at noon. MTSU football coverage on 93.3 FM. Totally Hits Nashville is presented by Sloan's Motorcycle ATV. 4's company, Jake Lyman, Nick Frazier, Connor Newt, Jake Wallman with you for the next 30 minutes or so, leading into Indiana and Ohio State coming up next. One of the big games across college football today, the biggest game across college football. Let's start there, guys. Is Indiana, Ohio State an elimination game for either of those teams? And does it depend on what the score ends up being?
Yes and yes.
Okay.
I think depending on the score, I think Ohio State has more of a chance to be eliminated than Indiana does.
Really?
I'll tell you that. However, Ohio State has a significantly stronger schedule than Indiana does. True. So now I'm confusing myself. What do I want? I think Ohio State wins by 2 touchdowns. I do. I don't think it's going to be close, especially at home. And I'm giving away our predictions. So,
well, yes, that is something we're picking later. I will disagree with you, Connor, and I know Jake's not going to want to hear this. I think unless Indiana loses by 30 plus today, I think both these teams are in no matter what.
Yeah.
Like Indiana, let's say they lose by 20 to Ohio State. They're still an 11-1 team with their only loss to a top 2 Ohio State squad on the road. I don't think you can keep them out no matter what their strength of schedule is. Ohio State, if they lose, they're 10-2, and their only 2 losses are to undefeated teams, Oregon and Indiana, on the road with one of them. I think Ohio State's in either way. I think the Big Ten, unless Penn State or Indiana lose to Penn State plays Minnesota today.
Yeah.
Unless Penn State loses to Minnesota or Indiana loses to Purdue or Penn State loses next week, I think the Big Ten has 4 in.
Yeah.
And that may be fair. It may not be fair with the strength of schedule, but like if you go 11-1 in the Big Ten, I think you're in.
Yeah.
That's fair because then you go to the Big Ten championship. Indiana's not going to be there. They're going to be an 11-1 team.
Yeah, they'd be an 11-1 team, and
Oregon would be there.
It'd be Oregon.
Yeah, it'd be Oregon, Ohio State.
I mean, it's perfect.
The winner of this game is into the Big Ten championship.
Mm-hmm.
Almost certainly, barring again if Indiana loses to Purdue next week, which isn't going to happen. But
so I mean, that's perfect.
The Big Ten, it's worked out perfectly for the Big Ten. And I understand the Big Ten is not as deep as the SEC. But Indiana can't control that Michigan and Washington took gigantic steps back this year. They beat both of them. Their average margin of victory is over 30 per game. So it's not like they're squeaking by bad teams. They're blowing the brakes off bad teams. I think the Big Ten, again, barring a major collapse, I think they've got 4 in. I think for Tennessee fans, the games you need to be looking at today, first off, you want Auburn to beat A&M.
Mm-hmm.
And then obviously you want A&M to beat Texas after that, because then both of those could be out.
Ole Miss and Florida.
You want Florida to beat Ole Miss, which with DJ Lagway back healthy in the swamp
at home,
that is probably the most likely result for Tennessee fans today to be looking for.
Or Army.
Oklahoma hosting Alabama.
Yeah.
I would say that's the next most likely. I don't think Oklahoma beats Alabama. Oklahoma's not good, but it is in Norman. Alabama has slipped up on the road, I think, twice now. I think that one is not likely, but possible. Army Notre Dame is in Yankee Stadium. That's going to be a fun one.
I love it.
Can Kentucky go to Austin today and pull off an upset?
No.
Hell yeah, they can. Hell yeah.
I was being that was said with a little sarcasm.
Out of the games today that could have a major upset that affects college football playoff rankings, I think the only one that is less likely is UMass beating Georgia in Athens.
Which would be cool. That would be fun.
That would be awesome. That would be so funny.
It's not happening, Jake. Sorry.
Yeah, I mean, hey, one can dream, right?
Maybe.
I don't
One can
think
dream.
I don't think you have to worry about any ACC or Big 12 games anymore because I don't see any scenario where those conferences get two. Like BYU, Colorado, Arizona State, one of those teams is in. Arizona State's still in it, right? Like to
Yeah.
get to the Big 12
I think
championship.
so.
Yeah, they're 5-2. Yep.
Mathematically,
So if
they're
they
in.
beat BYU today in Tempe, they would take the driver's seat for that second spot in the Big 12 championship game.
I want to believe in Army today. I really do. But I also believed in Navy beating Notre Dame.
Yeah, that
And
didn't go well.
That didn't go
But there's
well,
a difference. There's a difference. This is in New York. It's at Yankee Stadium, correct?
It's
Correct.
still going to be a home game for Notre Dame.
It doesn't matter. This is going to be played in a left field environment.
Yeah,
Literally.
yeah.
The grass it's cut differently on a baseball field.
That is true.
You're going to have issues.
We talked about this when Vandy played Georgia State.
we did.
I've called a game at Yankee Stadium,
Have you
I
really?
did,
You called
the
the
Pinstripe Bowl.
yes.
And
Was
I
that in
think
2019?
2022. 2021.
So you have
2021.
experience with the grass out there. Is
Yes.
it thicker than what you thought?
I don't know, but I think this game ends the exact same way that the game I called ends, in a blowout.
Yep.
Maryland beat the brakes off of the Virginia Tech Hokies, including Chiga Okonkwo and Taulia Tagovailoa were both on that team. I think Notre Dame. Do I think Notre Dame is worthy of being the number 6 team in the country? Probably not.
I don't think they're a power.
And I think they're going to choke in the playoffs again.
Yeah.
But I think they can beat Army.
They're a sneaky team. I'm not going to discredit that. Like what Marcus Freeman's done out there at Notre Dame. He's put together a good ball club, better than Brian Kelly ever would. I mean,
Brian Kelly. Woof.
Beauregard.
I'm just saying, like, Jake's onto something. He's right. Notre Dame is a good ball club, but will they do anything in the playoff? Probably not.
No, and that's the downside of not playing in a conference.
Yeah.
But it kind of favors them in the playoff seeding because if they win out, obviously they don't play a conference championship game. That's their bye week.
Yeah.
Then you're hosting a playoff game. So they still get 2 weeks to rest.
Yeah, but say 2 bucks because they have the Army Navy game and then the conference championship games, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But Army Navy does not count for
It's not a conference
AAC
game.
conference. Obviously, it still counts for the resume, but
Right.
does not count for conference. So it's locked in now. It's Army Tulane in the American.
I believe so.
I think so.
Yep.
So I think Notre Dame, if they win today, they're in. Actually, well, they do play USC next week, so you never know.
There's still hope.
There could be an upset brewing there as well. But ACC, I think, is a one bid league. It's going to be Miami or SMU or Clemson, I guess, could also get in there.
Ponies.
Big 12 is going to get one team in out of BYU, Colorado, Arizona State. If you go Notre Dame, you go group of 5, which probably is BYU. And then those 4 in. We're in the same spot we were last week, where it's 4 SEC teams. Right now, those spots are going to Texas, Alabama, Ole Miss, Georgia, but definitely paths for Tennessee and Texas A&M to get there.
Yeah.
A&M's got to win today.
Yeah.
And I don't trust Auburn.
No.
Yeah, I don't
No.
either.
No.
It's a mess down there.
if-
Hugh Freeze is going to get fired.
If A&M wins today and beats Texas, Texas is out, correct? Like, I don't think you can put a 10-2 Texas team in whose best win is
Texas
a
plays
3-point win
Kentucky.
at Vanderbilt.
Texas plays Kentucky.
They're not. Kentucky's not being. No, I mean next week.
Oh,
That's what I'm saying. Is like A&M beats Auburn.
I thought you said, oh, never mind. I'm
Stadium
wrong. You're
pulse.
right.
It's
All
all
right.
right.
If A&M beats Auburn, and then A&M beats Texas, I think A&M is in. Texas is out.
It's fair.
Yeah.
That is 100%
Yeah.
fair.
Yeah.
So so what's your SEC championship look like?
That would be A&M would be in
Mhm.
Yeah.
if that was the case, and I think they play Alabama.
and then that brings up another.
Yes, because they have the head-to-head against Georgia. You're right.
Right. So yeah, I think it would be A&M Alabama in
That-
the conference championship.
And
game.
that would bring up another interesting conundrum. If Alabama loses, do you put in a 3-loss team?
No.
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 Yes. Well, we talked about this though. That are we punishing teams for losing in the conference championship game when they only got there because of a tiebreaker? Like I know Lane Kiffin's talked about this, that the reward of a bye isn't worth the risk of getting knocked out completely. I don't think the committee. Maybe you can move a team one spot, but I don't think a team should be knocked out just because they had to play an extra game that other teams didn't.
Yeah.
Win your earlier games.
But
I mean, that's
But
I
the
mean-
reason they're in the SEC championship game is because they were more qualified than the other teams in the first place.
Right.
That's a tricky situation. I
mean, it could go.
I am glad this is not our job.
I hate the idea of punishing a team because they made the conference championship and other teams sat at home watching.
Yeah.
Yeah. But in a deep conference like the SEC, who I think we all settled on, they're probably getting 4 teams in. I don't know. I mean,
that's the chaos scenario there is if A&M wins the SEC championship, gets the bye, then you can only take 3 of Texas, Georgia, Alabama, Tennessee, Ole Miss.
Yeah.
Which is,
I mean, then they factor in head-to-head, resume wins.
and in that scenario, all
Yeah.
of those teams would have 10 wins.
Yeah.
They'd all be 10-2 or 10-3.
And then you look at who beat who. Tennessee beat Alabama.
Yeah. Alabama beat Georgia. Georgia
Yeah.
beat Ole Miss.
And Tennessee.
Yeah, and Tennessee. Tennessee beat Alabama. Texas is like the only one that's just completely left out, except for Georgia beat them.
I hate to say this to Jake Wallman's point here, but I mean, the best way it's going to solve all this is if Vandy beats Tennessee in the last.
Yeah,
regular
Vandy
season.
beats
Yeah.
Tennessee. It's
Like,
over.
That just
For
solves everything.
It does make it a lot easier. I think there still might be some thoughts on the last SEC team in that scenario. Well, I guess A&M might not be in. We're saying if they were able to pull off the win against
You
Texas.
guys are sleeping on the UTEP Miners. It's happening
I
today.
no, it's not.
Yes, it is.
Now, I mean, to Connor's point, UTEP's head coach is the former head coach at Austin Peay. I forget his name,
Oh,
but when Tennessee hosted Austin Peay last year, he gave them all they wanted to
Yeah.
kind of play, devil's
UTEP
advocate.
might be worse than that Austin. Peay
yeah,
team.
Yeah,
two,
but
a
I mean-
2-8 UTEP team. I'm thinking that one might be more like Kent State earlier this year.
I'm just saying that there's a factor that plays into it that you can't ignore if you're me at least.
Yeah.
Just because that guy was like a
One game at a time.
Energizer
buddy.
bunny, man.
One game at a time.
You
Yeah.
know what team is an Energizer Bunny?
The
That
SMU
team,
ponies.
The Ponies. SMU Mustangs.
I'm just telling you right now, Kentucky's winning out. They're going 6-6 and going to the Pop-Tarts Bowl.
And then Mark
you see, they have 3
Stoops gets
mascots.
Yeah.
They have 3 mascots this year.
there's a mystery
Yeah,
flavor.
there's a mystery flavor. Can't wait for the Pop-Tarts Bowl.
Oh, great.
Then Mark Stoops gets an extension.
Oh, God.
Oh, yeah. Get bowl eligible.
I want John Sumrall. Bring on the bacon wave.
Lots of big games today. I've got a fun wild card pick I'm going to make in our next segment. But the big games today in terms of college football playoff, obviously Indiana, Ohio State. I still think both teams are in, barring a blowout. But obviously Army, Notre Dame. That one could be an elimination game for either of those teams. So we'll see how all of that plays out over the next couple of hours. We got one more segment. We're going to make some picks when we come back here on 4's Company, 102.5, 106.3 The Game. Tune into 102.5, 106.3 The Game right after us. Just keep it tuned right here for our college football game of the week. Indiana and Ohio State presented by Twin Peaks Restaurants. It's coming up in about 12 minutes between the Hoosiers and the Buckeyes from Columbus. Take your tailgate to Twin Peaks, home of 29-degree drafts and wall-to-wall sports. Final segment here on 4's Company. Jake Lyman, Nick Frazier, Connor Newt, Jake Wallman. Time to make some picks, gentlemen. And we're going all college football, at least for our set picks. We'll give you a wild card in case you want to pick darts, Nick. Let's start with Vanderbilt and LSU. It'll be on 94.9 The Fan. Pregame coverage at 5, kickoff at 6:45. Can the Doors take down the Tigers in Death Valley to get their 7th win of the season?
I'm going to say no. LSU's eliminated from the playoff. They're not getting in. It's not happening. But they still are playing for their season. They want to win out. Brian Kelly's playing for his job right now. So in Death Valley, oh man,
Night game
in Death Valley. LSU's wearing special jerseys tonight too. That crowd's gonna be fired up. Give me LSU. But I think Vanderbilt comes in next week at home with an edge. Maybe takes it to Tennessee.
Easy, buddy.
We'll have our, again, we're going to have a Black Friday special for you, 4's Company, 6 to 8 a.m. If you're out doing some early shopping the day after Thanksgiving, we'll be on the air leading into Robbie and Rex Road, I believe, who will be live from Bridgestone Arena. So make sure you tune in for that. And then we'll also be on the air on Saturday, 9 a.m., only till 9:30, though. We'll do a quick preview of Vandy and Tennessee and get you into the pregame coverage over there from First Bank Stadium. Nick, do you think Vanderbilt can go into Baton Rouge and get a win?
I do.
Yes.
I really do. I think Vandy actually can win out. I'm all over Vandy.
An 8-win Vanderbilt.
And he said easy buddy to me.
Yeah.
Come on now.
I don't think this LSU team is like a team anymore. It's just a bunch of individuals that are looking for incentives on their NIL deals.
Pat McAfee agrees with you.
Yeah. Oh, does he really?
Yeah.
Kirk as well.
Oh, they're picking it right now.
How about that?
Man.
Yeah, I think Vandy's just a more complete team. They're actual team. They represent what the word means.
Yeah.
So I just think LSU is a bunch of individuals that are not going to win.
I think it's going to be close, but not knowing how close to healthy Diego Pavia is, I'm going to say LSU pulls it out. I'm just thinking that environment's going to be maybe not full go Death Valley, but it'll still be good. I think Vandy loses like 24-21 or something like that.
I think it's going to be low scoring.
But again, I think if Pavia is healthy next week, could be a game. Jake Wallman, does Vanderbilt get it done on the road?
I think I'm with Nick Frazier in the sense that this LSU team is just, they're not bought in as they once were. I don't know if you guys saw the Florida game last week, but I can't remember at what point in the game it was, but an LSU player came off the field and was just grilling Brian Kelly.
Yeah.
It looked like he saw a ghost.
Mm-hmm.
But I have to factor in Baton Rouge at night, and I think it's close. I think it's like the Missouri game Vanderbilt played early in the year, where it is close the entire game, but I think LSU pulls it out.
I have breaking news.
Oh,
per the reporter, our friend Nick Kieser, Fedor Svechkov will make his NHL debut tonight.
Wow.
against the Winnipeg Jets.
excited for that. That's coming up at 5 o'clock pregame, 6 o'clock puck drop. And again, David Poyle and Shea Weber being honored pregame there. And now an NHL debut. What a night it's going to be over at Bridgestone Arena.
Credit to Nick Kieser. Thank you for
Credit
that
to Nick
report.
Frazier, too, though.
Yeah, we love you too.
What I do? I just sat here and was happy about it.
Yeah, but
Thanks. Appreciate it.
Good job.
But you
Thanks.
just sit there and look pretty.
Thank
Make
you.
me smile.
Thank
All right,
you.
well, good news there from the Preds.
Good
that
stuff,
we
Kieser.
will get to see an NHL debut tonight, and credit to Nick Kieser there. Second game coming up in less than 10 minutes. Indiana and the Ohio State University from the Horseshoe in Columbus. Do the Hoosiers have an upset in them?
I already told you now it's not going to happen. I think Ohio State wins by at least 14. I just feel like they're a more complete team at home in the shoe. Yeah, I just think Ohio State's more of a complete team. They have a better defense than Indiana. Indiana has an offense, but so does Ohio State. So I think it's a high one, though. I'll say 38-24, Ohio State.
Huh. I was going to go something similar to that. I'm going to go 38-35 Indiana.
Wow, I knew you were picking the Hoosiers.
I just
I saw the little smirk on your face.
I had to, man. I had to. I'm going 38-35 Indiana. Let the dogs out today. No need to board them.
Indiana could complete an undefeated regular season if they win today. I don't think that happens. I think Indiana keeps it closer. I'll go 10 points. I'll say this one ends 31-21 Ohio State.
Would Coach Lyman win this game?
No, not right now. Coach Lyman might get run out of Columbus right now. Jake Wallman.
I'm trying to not let my bias show because my heart wants Indiana to win. I think they're a great story with Kurt Signetti. But my brain tells me Ohio State.
Yeah.
Ryan Day needs this game. They were all over him. They were loving on him when he appeared on game day earlier. And if he loses this game, they're going to run him out of Columbus.
All right.
Possible.
So Nick Frazier lone wolfing once again.
Dogs are out today, boys.
Dogs are out for
I'm
Nick
pumped.
Frazier. It'll either be a perfect week for him or the opposite.
27-17 for the LSU Vandy game, by the way.
Okay.
Yep.
Gotcha. All right. Wild card. This could be anything. Preds game tonight, Titans game tomorrow, NFL games, college football. Connor Newt, lead us off.
We're not going to know this one till Monday, but big one in the world of college basketball in the Maui Invitational, Auburn and Iowa State.
Ooh.
4 versus 5. I love the way Bruce Pearl's team plays this year. I think that offense is electric, and Bruce Pearl teams always have good defenses.
Long flight for the
I know.
Tigers.
Yeah, long
Long
flight.
flight.
Do you think they get out of there with all their teeth?
Depends on who attacks who first. But I'm going to go Auburn over Iowa State. I think Bruce Pearl's got something special this year. I think this is a team that can make a deep run in March and maybe run the SEC table. I don't know. But as of Monday, give me the Auburn Tigers. I think they win. Oh, what's the spread? Hold on one second. Hi, how are you? Doing well. Good. I think they win by like 8.
Okay.
So I'll say 78-70 Auburn.
Nick Frazier, what badminton game will you be picking?
No obscure sports here. I'm going to stick with college football. I mean, I haven't seen Mississippi State win a football game since probably 2013, honestly. They have been so mediocre. I think they beat Missouri today. Big upset.
Hey!
At home.
I hope
Davis
that
Wade.
happens for you.
Yeah. Dogs are out, especially the Bulldogs.
More cowbell.
Well, also, I don't like Eli Drinkwitz. all that much.
Dorkwitz.
Eli Dorkwitz.
As I call him.
I guess too much standing on business for you, huh?
Something. I mean, that guy's a clown.
Well, he is. No, what was it? A couple weeks ago they won, and he said we're still in the hunt for the
Yeah,
college
like,
football
dude,
playoff.
get outta
And
here,
I'm like, you're
man.
number 24.
I'm surprised they're still ranked.
Yeah,
And I was a Missouri guy heading into the year.
yeah, we know you were.
I told you guys that the other Coach Lyman in my online dynasty won a national championship with the Minnesota Golden Gophers. Today, the Gophers pull off the upset in Minneapolis, beat number 4 Penn State, and send James Franklin home.
Row the boat.
Row that boat. PJ Fleck.
PJ Fleck, baby.
Minnesota gets it done. Max Brosmer, Darius Taylor, they get the win.
All right. Well,
Ski-U-Ma.
I'm going to make my wild card the UTEP game.
We knew you were going.
No,
there.
I'm kidding. I'm kidding. I'm going to go down to Gainesville, and
I know where you're going.
Jake Lyman and I were talking about this, and it would be so Lane Kiffin to lose this game.
Yep.
A game that he needs. You know, he just does not always come through in the clutch when he needs it. Florida, you get bowl eligibility. Tennessee gets a spot in the college football playoff. I can make that trade without saying I'm cheering for the Gators. Give me Florida by a score of 31-24.
I need to hear you sing some Tom Petty since you're picking Florida. Go ahead.
I can't sing. I'm
Go
not.
ahead.
Hey,
I don't, baby.
I don't need Chase McCabe coming into my. I don't need him texting me.
Yeah, no singing. No singing allowed on the show anymore.
I sing all the time.
That's true. We do sing a little bit, but no full-on singing like that one time. We've been
Oh,
banned.
yeah. We've been banned.
All right. Well, that'll about do it for us. Good show, gentlemen. Should be a fun day of college football today. We've got Indiana, Ohio State coming up next. They're picking it right now behind us on College Game Day. We'll see what mascot head comes out. Is Corso there?
Yeah.
Okay.
He is.
So we'll see. if Brutus makes a 1,000th
Does-
appearance.
Does Indiana have a mascot head? I don't think
Do they?
do.
I don't think so. I think he would put on the helmet. But
Right,
there was
yeah.
one time they were at Indiana and he put on some kind of bird costume. I don't know.
Interesting.
Yeah.
What is a Hoosier?
It's a state.
Yeah,
thing.
it's the state. It's like
kinda
the
like Tennessee.
Sooners and
It's a volunteer.
yeah, I don't know.
That's weird.
All right, well that wraps it up for us. Enjoy your college football Saturday, everyone. Preds game tonight, 5 o'clock pregame right here on the game. Vandy football on 94.9 The Fan starting at 5 o'clock as well. And again, coming up right after us, Indiana, Ohio State, Hoosiers and Buckeyes, top 5 matchup out in Columbus. For Nick Frazier, Connor Newt, Jake Wellman, I'm Jake Lyman signing off. We'll talk to you on Black Friday, 6 a.m. 4's Company in 6 days from now on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game.
See ya.